Single dad found a woman billionaire injured in the woods. What he said changed everything. The blood on the leaves was the first thing he noticed. It didn't belong in the quiet woods behind the old trailhead, where birds usually argued over breadcrumbs and the air smelled like pine and damp earth. Yet there it was, bright against the brown and green, leading off the path like a broken line of ink. Mark froze. As a single dad, you learn to pause before reacting. You learn that panic doesn't help a crying child, and rushing blindly often makes things worse. So Mark listened first. The woods were silent, too silent. Then he heard it. A faint groan. "Hello?" he called out, heart pounding. Another sound answered him, weak but unmistakably human. Mark followed the trail, pushing aside branches, until he saw her. A woman lay slumped against a fallen tree, her leg twisted at an unnatural angle, her jacket torn and soaked with blood. Her face was pale, but her eyes, sharp, intelligent, locked onto his the second she noticed him. Relief washed over her features. Then fear. "Please," she whispered. "Don't leave." Mark dropped to his knees beside her without thinking. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. "You're not alone." Mark Thompson was not a hero by profession. He was a warehouse supervisor in a small town in Washington state, the kind of man who woke up before dawn to pack lunches and braid his daughter's hair before school. Since his wife passed 3 years earlier, his world revolved around 8-year-old Lily, her school projects, her bedtime stories, her quiet grief that surfaced when least expected. That afternoon, Mark had brought Lily to her friend's house and decided to take a short walk to clear his head. He never imagined the walk would change his life, or hers. The injured woman tried to sit up but cried out in pain. "Don't move," Mark said gently. He pulled off his jacket and pressed it against her bleeding leg. "I'm Mark." "What's your name?" She hesitated, then said, "Eleanor." Her voice carried an accent that didn't belong to this small town, polished, measured, the kind you hear in boardrooms and interviews. "Eleanor," Mark repeated, steady. "I'm going to help you. I'll call emergency services, okay?" Her hand shot out and grabbed his sleeve with surprising strength. "No cell service," she said. "I tried. My phone's gone." Mark checked his own phone. 1 bar. Then none. "Okay," he said calmly. "Then we do this another way." He tore strips from his undershirt, improvising a tourniquet just like his father had once taught him. As he worked, Eleanor watched him closely. "You know what you're doing," she said. "I know how to stay calm," he replied. "That counts for something." She laughed weakly, then winced. Minutes passed. Or maybe hours. Time blurred. Eleanor's breathing grew shallow. Mark spoke constantly, not to fill the silence, but to anchor her to the moment. He told her about Lily. About how she still slept with the hallway light on. About how she once asked if angels got tired of watching over people. Eleanor listened, eyes glassy. "You're a good father," she murmured. "I try," Mark said. "Some days I fail spectacularly." "That means you care," she said. "Most people don't even try." She turned her head away, staring at the canopy of trees. "I don't deserve this kindness," she whispered. Mark paused. "What makes you say that?" She swallowed. "I've spent my life stepping over people. Making hard decisions. Hurting others in the name of progress. Money does that to you, it convinces you the ends justify everything." Mark tied off the bandage and sat back on his heels. "You know," he said slowly, "my daughter once broke her neighbor's window with a baseball. She was terrified. Thought she'd ruined everything." "What happened?" Eleanor asked. "She apologized," Mark said. "And the neighbor forgave her. Not because the window didn't matter, but because Lily did." Eleanor turned back to him, tears slipping silently down her temples. "What are you saying?" she asked. "I'm saying you're not the worst thing you've ever done," Mark said. "And you're not the best either. You're just human. Same as the rest of us." Something in his words seemed to break through the pain, the fear, the armor Eleanor had worn for decades. She started to cry. The sound of sirens came faintly at first, then louder. Mark had left Eleanor briefly, only after securing her leg and promising he'd return, to run uphill until he found enough signal to call for help. He'd shouted until his voice cracked, waved his jacket like a flag, refused to stop until someone heard him. Now paramedics rushed in, lifting Eleanor onto a stretcher. Before they took her away, she reached for Mark's hand. "Thank you," she said, gripping it tightly. "You saved my life." Mark shook his head. "I just didn't walk away." Her eyes searched his face, as if trying to memorize it. "What did you say earlier?" she asked softly. "About being human?" He nodded. "I'll remember that," she said. "I promise." The story should have ended there. Mark went back to his life, back to early mornings and school drop-offs, back to bills that never seemed to shrink and nights that felt too quiet after Lily fell asleep. Weeks passed. Then one afternoon, a black SUV rolled into the parking lot of his apartment complex. A woman stepped out, walking with a cane. Mark recognized her instantly. "Eleanor," he said, stunned. She smiled. "Healthier now. Stronger. I owed you a proper thank you," she said. "And an apology for disappearing." Only then did Mark learn the truth. Eleanor Wright was a billionaire. A tech magnate whose companies shaped industries across the US, the UK, and Canada. Her injury had made national news, though her rescuer had remained unnamed. "I could have sent a check," Eleanor said. "But that felt wrong." "So what did you do?" Mark asked. She gestured around them. "The warehouse you work for," she said. "It's being acquired. Wages will increase. Hours will be flexible. Parents will get paid leave." Mark stared at her. "And Lily's school," she continued. "Fully funded. New programs. Counseling services." His throat tightened. "Why?" he asked. Eleanor's expression softened. "Because when I was helpless, you didn't ask who I was or what I could give you. You saw me as a person. And you reminded me how powerful that is." She took a breath. "You changed everything," she said. "Not by saving my life, but by changing how I see others." That night, Mark tucked Lily into bed. "Daddy?" she asked sleepily. "Do angels get tired?" Mark smiled, brushing her hair back. "Maybe," he said. "But I think they rest when they see people taking care of each other." Lily nodded, satisfied, and drifted off. Mark sat there a moment longer, thinking of the woods, the blood on the leaves, and the words that had come so naturally when they mattered most. Kindness, he realized, doesn't need power to be powerful. Sometimes, all it takes is staying, when walking away would be easier.